On a quiet afternoon, the husband and wife sat on an old wooden bench outside the porch. The space around them was just like before. It was peaceful and gentle, but between them there was a silent distance. They had once loved each other deeply. They had once gone through many ups and downs in life together. Yet now in the later years of life they spoke less. They rarely looked at each other. Each of them seemed to live in a world of their own. Is love something that fades over time? When the hair turns gray and the skin shows wrinkles? Does affection also fade away? This is not the question of just one person. Many older women have quietly shared their thoughts. They say, "My husband is not the same anymore. He hardly pays attention. He gets irritated easily. He no longer wants to be close." This is a common experience. It happens in many long-term marriages. There was once love. There was once sacrifice. But over time the closeness faded, and neither person knew exactly why. This article is not here to judge. It is here to help us look back. Together we will explore 9 deep reasons why a husband may grow distant in later years. More importantly, we will explore gentle and thoughtful ways to rebuild the bond. Even if it feels late, it is not too late to reconnect. 1. Changes in appearance and physical attraction. Time does more than mark the chapters of a person's life. It leaves visible signs on the body. Hair that was once thick and black now shows streaks of gray. Eyes that once sparkled now carry shadows of fatigue. A body that was once firm and quick has become slower and less flexible. For many men, these changes are hard to accept. This applies not only to their wives, but also to themselves. Some begin to compare. They compare with the past, and sometimes with other images they see in the world. Gradually, the feeling of attraction they once had for their partner starts to fade. Sadly, modern society still places too much value on appearance. When physical beauty is no longer a strong point, some husbands, without meaning to allow distance to grow in the relationship, they may no longer start conversations. They may no longer desire closeness. At times, they may become short-tempered without knowing the reason. But love that is tied only to looks is already fragile. What makes a person attractive in midlife and beyond is not skin or shape. It is presence, positive energy, kindness, wisdom, and the sense of calm they carry. For a wife, instead of feeling sad about aging, she can start by caring for herself. Not to keep her husband, but to love herself. A soft smile, a favorite outfit, a joyful spirit. These things often shine brighter than any makeup. And for the husband, attraction can be renewed, not through how things look, but through how the two of them feel about each other each day. 2. Communication fades over time. When a relationship first begins, words flow like a fresh stream. They come easily day and night without pause. The couple can talk for hours about the smallest things. A movie they just watched a dream from last night, or simply how they feel in that moment. But as time passes, these conversations become less frequent. Words grow short and practical. They focus only on daily tasks. Things like, "I'm going to the market. Don't forget to pick up the grandchild," or "the light is broken." Many couples reach middle age and later life with a habit of silence, not because they have nothing left to say, but because they have forgotten how to share. Sometimes it is due to exhaustion. Sometimes it is because of small wounds that were never healed. One hurtful comment, one time being interrupted, one moment of not being heard. All of these form a quiet wall. The wife starts to feel invisible. The husband feels that whatever he says is misunderstood, or not worth saying. Communication, which was once the strong bond between them, is slowly replaced by silence and misunderstanding. But here's the hopeful truth. Communication never truly disappears. It only falls asleep. Sometimes all it takes is a cup of tea in the evening and a gentle question like, "How was your day?" That can open the door again. A simple but powerful step is to create a regular sharing time. It doesn't need to be long. Just 15 or 20 minutes every few days. No phones, no distractions. Only listening and speaking with care. Learn again how to listen without interrupting. Respond without judging. When words return with real care behind them, the space between two hearts, even after many years together, can begin to close. 3. Marriage falls into a routine. One reason love between husband and wife begins to fade is that life slowly slips into repetition. The days become so predictable that you no longer need a clock to know who will do what, who cooks, who picks up the grandchild, who cleans the kitchen. Everything runs smoothly. But sometimes too much stability can lead to a lack of life and emotion. Work, children, and responsibilities, each one is important. But when they take up all the space in daily life, the couple begins to function more like co-managers of the household. They still spend each day together, but mostly to complete tasks. They stop enjoying things together. The danger lies in long-term familiarity without refreshment. It makes the relationship feel dull. There are no more surprises, no more bursts of laughter over something small, no more sense of looking forward to coming home just to be near one another. But this does not mean something big must happen. Often just a small change is enough to make a difference. A weekend morning walk in the park, trying a new recipe together, a short trip around town, or simply turning a regular dinner into a candlelit meal. Even if it's just in the living room, newness does not need to come from far away. It can come from choosing to create little moments, moments that help both remember. They are not just partners in daily life. They are two people who once loved each other deeply. Because the YouTube algorithm favors content with engagement. If you find this video helpful, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Your small action can help this message reach many others who may need it. Thank you so much for being here with Light of Wise Elders. Now we will move on to the next part of today's video. 4. Parenting overshadows the role of being a couple. When children enter the picture, the love between two people often turns into responsibility. The wife becomes a mother, the husband becomes a father. And from that moment the bond is husband and wife, which was once the center, slowly moves into the background. In many families, the wife gives all her time and attention to the children. Every thought revolves around meals, school, sleep, illnesses, and the emotions of the child. The husband starts to feel like he is no longer a priority. He stands outside the mother-child circle and quietly pulls away. At first, he steps back willingly. Later, he begins to feel pushed aside. In time, it becomes a habit of living separately under the same roof. Many husbands have admitted to feeling left out in their own home, not because their wife stopped loving them, but because all the love was poured into the children. This kind of imbalance happens quietly, but its effects can run deep. When the role of mother completely overtakes the role of wife, the husband no longer feels seen as a life partner. He no longer feels like someone to share life with. The answer is not to love the children less. It is to create space again for the marriage. An evening without the kids, a short trip with just the two of you, or even a hug that lasts a little longer than usual. These are ways to gently remind each other. Before we were parents, we were lovers. And that part of us still matters, even as our children grow, even as the years go by. 5. Emotional needs are forgotten. Many people believe that once a man becomes a husband and a father, he no longer needs comfort, praise, or care. But this belief slowly wears down a marriage. No matter how strong he may seem, a husband still has emotional needs. He still wants to be heard, to feel valued, and to know that he matters to his partner. When life gets busy, the wife often focuses more on what needs to be done than on what needs to be felt. Words of encouragement begin to fade. Compliments no longer appear. The husband stays quiet, but inside, he may feel disappointed. He does not speak up. He does not demand anything. But he also stops reaching out like he used to. And so a gap begins to grow. Not because love is gone, but because he no longer feels loved. Love in marriage is not shown only in big gestures. It lives in the small things. A warm glance while handing over a cup of coffee. A simple, "You worked hard today" at the end of a long day. A light touch on the shoulder while passing in the kitchen. These small acts let a man know that he is still needed and appreciated. The wife does not need to do anything grand. Sometimes just asking, "How do you feel about that?" and truly listening is enough. It brings back the sense of connection. No one wants to be in a relationship where their feelings are ignored. And no one wants to feel invisible in the very home they helped build. 6. Unresolved conflicts. In any long-term relationship, conflict is something we cannot avoid. But the real concern is not that disagreements happen. It is how the couple handles them. When they were younger, many couples argued but then quickly made peace. Over time, that pattern often fades. They still argue sometimes about small things, but now the issues are left open. No one takes the first step to repair the hurt. The small cracks are not patched. Instead, they slowly deepen. The husband begins to feel that his wife does not understand him. The wife begins to feel that her husband does not care. They still live under the same roof. They still do their part in the family. But deep inside, both carry quiet, unspoken dissatisfaction. Often the deeper reason is that both feel too tired to argue. Or they fear that talking will make things worse. So they choose silence. But this silence is not gentle. It builds up and slowly becomes distance. The answer is not to avoid conflict, but to learn how to argue in a healthy way. When disagreement happens, the goal should be to understand each other better, not to decide who is right. Sometimes it only takes one person to say, "I don't want us to stay like this forever," to begin the healing. Because in love, the most important thing is not to win. It is to hold on to each other. 7. Midlife crisis. There comes a time in life that most men must face. It is the moment when they pause and ask themselves, have I lived the way I truly wanted? Is this the life I once dreamed of? Why do I feel empty, even though I have a family, a job, and children? A midlife crisis is not rare. It often starts quietly in the mind, then slowly shows in a man's behavior. The husband may grow distant. He may lose patience more easily. He may begin to pull away from the relationship without a clear reason. Sometimes he begins to compare his wife with an imagined ideal, someone younger, more cheerful, someone without the weight of family responsibilities. This does not mean he no longer loves his wife. It means that in his confusion, he forgets the true value of the woman standing beside him. At this time, the wife needs patience, but not the kind that means silent suffering. She can create a space for him to speak about the struggles within. They can read a book together, join a class, or seek help from a counselor if needed. Not because the marriage is broken, but because it is worth saving. When a man feels he is not alone during this crisis, he finds a new reason to stay, not only out of duty, but out of love. 8. Outside pressures create cracks inside. As a man enters middle age, life is no longer light and carefree. His health begins to decline. He faces financial pressure. He worries about his growing children. He cares for aging parents. Stress comes at him from all directions. Many husbands do not know how to share these burdens. They do not want to complain. They do not want to worry their wives, so they carry it all in silence. But when the pressure becomes too much, it does not always come out in words. It shows up in irritability and silence or in emotional distance. The wife may misunderstand this. She may think he has fallen out of love. But in truth, many men are simply exhausted, and they do not know where to turn. This is the moment when the wife's role matters more than ever. Not to offer solutions, not to fix everything, but to be the place where he feels safe coming home. A gentle squeeze of the hand at dinner. A simple phrase like, "You don't have to carry it all alone with me." These small acts can ease the storm within, and when a man feels that he is not alone, he chooses to stay, not out of duty, but because he has found a place where he truly belongs. 9. Lack of appreciation and gratitude. Love does not survive on care alone. It also needs to be seen and appreciated. In many families, the husband quietly carries many burdens. He fixes the roof. He drives long distances. He manages finances. He handles unexpected problems. Over time, these acts become expected. They are seen as part of his role. And when they are no longer mentioned, when no one says thank you, the husband begins to feel invisible. Many men have shared that they do not expect anything grand. All they hope for is a simple word of acknowledgement. Like, "I know you've been trying your best for our family." But sadly, such words grow rare in long-term marriages. The wife may not mean to overlook him. She has simply become used to everything he does. But silence stretched out over time makes a man feel unappreciated. The solution is not complicated. Say thank you once in a while. Look him in the eyes when you show appreciation. Praise him in front of the children or grandchildren. These small acts are like medicine for a man who has been quietly holding the family together, because everyone needs to feel that their efforts matter, especially in their own home. Conclusion. Marriage does not lose its value over time. It simply changes into a quieter form. It asks for more gentle care, more thoughtful attention. If love in youth is a flame, then love in later years becomes a light, not dazzling, but warm enough to soothe old wounds, bright enough to guide through the rough paths near the end of life's journey. The distance between husband and wife does not appear overnight. It is the result of many small things left undone, a compliment never spoken, a silence that lasted too long, a hand that stopped reaching out. But because it comes from small things, it can also be healed through small things. A tender look, a sincere thank you, an evening spent simply listening to each other. That can be the start of a new chapter in love. Do not wait until the bond breaks to try and mend it. Begin today, with honest care, with the effort to understand one another more deeply, with the choice to love your partner again, each and every day. And if you are looking for inspiration, companionship, or simply a quiet space to reflect on love, marriage, and the meaning of life in later years, please visit the channel Light of Wise Elders. This is a space where heartfelt stories, life lessons full of experience, and gentle, thoughtful advice are shared, not to teach, but to listen together and to walk the path of aging with peace, understanding, and more love. Let every day together, even if late, still be a new beginning.